Ratan Shardaji, the fact is there can be a Mahagathbandhan versus the incumbent, but the collateral clearly, as even Manisha ji pointed out, are the voters of Bihar, and it's acute voter anxiety right now where most, Bihar voters are concerned. The fact, Ratan Sharda, is the credibility of the EC is on the line. The credibility of the EC of number of surveys that have been conducted has only been falling. The opposition constantly attacking the EC. The government and the BJP, instead of defending the EC, because EC is clearly a constitutional unit functioning on its own. Defending the EC should ask for the EC to come out with a press conference, allay all fears. Because, if for the first time source-based information from the EC continues to trickle down, then there's cause for concern where the credibility of the institution comes into being.
When you keep on attacking the constitutional authorities like EC over years, naturally there'll be some fallout. You remember the EVM cry where after every election there is talk about EVM being corrupted, etc. And you just let it pass. Now, ECI being a typical bureaucratic party has not been good at communication. That has been the failure of the government, that this has not been explained properly. Now, coming to the main issue, crux of the matter is the time. Anybody sitting here, is he making a case that there should be no electoral revision? Are we saying that Aadhaar card, which has got oversaturation of more than 20% in many districts, should not be questioned? Are you saying that anybody who comes to India can become a voter, and that is why we are opposing? The reason for opposing SR, if opposition had said that we are
Ratanji,
worried
if you
about
allow
timing.
me a rebuttal, I want to ask you, this oversaturation of Aadhaar that we speak so openly of, where has this data been extrapolated? Because the census hasn't taken place. How do we know there is an oversaturation of Aadhaar in certain areas like Simachal? On what
Just like
basis is this number?
just like here, certain numbers, there are numbers floating in the on the social media and the newspapers.
But
Am
sir,
I
we
going to
can't
go
take
and check
social
somebody?
media
No,
as
should
the
I? No,
benchmark
whether
of
it's not just
credible
social,
numbers, sir.
there are news reports also. So are we going to question everything? Are you going to question whether 50 lakh over numbers are there or not? It is clearly there is
So I would reckon
oversaturation of Aadhaar
journalistic
card.
inquisition should
Now
demand
please
that.
go
And
ahead
I
and
would think you
yes,
would also demand
you
it.
should demand. I would demand. You also demand. Rather than questioning me, question the people or the news which says there is oversaturation. Let
Fair
somebody
point.
respond saying there is nothing. Why don't you investigate? That is the job of the news channels. So my question is whether the opposition is opposing it because there is less time, or they don't want to detect people who are not fit to be citizens of this country and cannot vote. That is the question which is being rallied around. That is the question is saying why disenfranchise people if the people are not even were not even right voters, then why should they question it? Which nation has such an open door policy that anybody can come and become voter? My question is revision could have been started earlier. My question is should be there all over the country. Why not? And there should be a better way of doing it rather than trying to push it down in such a short time and not responding to questions.
Fair point, sir. I want to bring in Ashutosh into this conversation. I just, because there is a contentious point, because everyone who is quoting the SIR, which is taking place in Bihar as a great exercise, quotes the example of oversaturation of Aadhaar in certain regions like Simachal. The basic question of that is we haven't had a census. Where has that oversaturation, 50%, 80% saturation, 120% saturation data has come from is a question one needs to ask. But Ashutosh ji, there's a credible point that even Ratan Sharda ji has made. There is voter anxiety clearly, but there are also lots of voters in various pockets of Bihar that are welcoming an exercise what they thought was a long time in the coming.
See, Preeti, in this entire exercise, we are missing woods out of the trees. Today the matter has moved beyond SIR. Today the matter has moved beyond Election Commission. Today the matter has moved beyond the electoral process. We have to understand this. The job of the Election Commission is not only to conduct election, but it is seen to be conducted in free, fair, and independent manner, in a transparent manner. There are the three stakeholders, serious stakeholders in the election. One is opposition, another is a government, and third is people. And if out of the three, if the one has a problem, with serious problem with this, then Election Commission has no other business than to address those concerns. Today, the entire opposition is on its feet. And if entire opposition is on its feet and the Tejasvi Yadav, the principal opposition party in Bihar, is saying that they are thinking in terms of boycotting the election, then the credibility of the whole election, whole process goes for a toss. Even if you conduct an election, nobody is going to believe this. So the fact of the matter is that the deep distrust is emerging about the electoral process, and that will damage Indian democracy in the long term. I fail to understand how a bureaucrats sitting in the election commission is not only tarnishing the image of the election process, but they are also contributing in tarnishing the image of the whole Indian democracy globally. Now the question is asked. Opposition is a serious question. That question can be wrong. I completely agree with that. Can be totally wrong. But if they have questions, if they have doubts, if they have problems with that, then that needs to be addressed, and this whole process has to be scrapped. This bulldozing thing, the new phenomenon which has emerged in Indian democracy in the last few years, that I'll bulldoze everything, come what may. We are bulldozing at the cost of the democracy. So forget about SIR, forget about election process. This democracy cannot be bulldozed like this, and opposition has to be taken in confidence.
All right. Ashutosh ji, before I go back to Manisha Prem, I want to ask you one question, because 28th is when the top court of the country is hearing the matter, multiple challenges to the SIR taking place in Bihar. The question is whether or not the court delinks the process from the Bihar election, because there is a possibility, that's an option that the court could exercise, that allow the process to happen, but delink it from the Bihar election. Do you reckon the polarization, the job technically is done in terms of polarizing the state of Bihar?
See, as I said, polarization in my opinion...
Ma'am, I'll go to him first, I'll come to you later. Yes, make your point.
Polarization in my opinion is not an issue at all. Please understand this. CSDS has done survey, and the CSDS data categorically said the credibility of election commission is going down with every election. If the credibility of election commission is going down with every election, people will ask questioning. People will ask questions whether the election conducted and the political party who emerges as victorious, whether they are victorious with good with transparent means, with the fair means, our election has been manipulated. So,
all right. So you're saying larger questions are going to be raising, polarization is going to be eclipsed in all of this. Larger questions on the functionality of our democracy are going to be raised.